the My Little Pony weekly drawing critique stream. Hope you're all having a good day, wonderful Tuesday, even better Wednesday, depending on where you are. We're here to... Yeah, time zone magic. Bringing us all the friends at different times, some of whom aren't awake yet. But nonetheless, we do have some friends. We have, as you can hear, the lovely Ali Claw.
Hello.
I'm some raccoon and Lillian.
You know, the Fluffy's eye.
Yes.
And maybe the Pixie Nope at some point.
Maybe at some point. Sure. At the moment, he's sleeping because we were all being silly earlier, and then he crashed for bed pretty late. So we'll see. We'll see if he slept through his alarm. So the type is a light sailing ship. But we got art for you today. If you have any questions for us, feel free to throw them at us. But maybe by a carrier pigeon that just got a lovely new makeover, and they're very pretty, and they want to give us your art questions.
I just want some bird friends.
You got a half bird boyfriend, so that's okay.
You know, that's fair. I'm starting off strong.
So yeah, as always, make sure that you check out our subreddit, our Discord. Give some critique to others. It's very, very helpful. We were super happy to see that some people have been giving really good critique earlier on today. So that's wonderful.
So happy to see that. Finally. Thank you.
So we're gonna do we have any pictures, Ali, who are here with us today?
I was just looking. I'm not seeing. Let me check the user list. No, I'm not seeing anybody. So we can just start in order from the top up.
Yeah, let's do that thing. That's a good idea.
Oh, hey, I spot the Pixie. The sneaky Pixie.
Oh, he's sneaking. Hello, Sneaky. Good morning.
Is my yeah? How hi? I'm not dead.
Having a very sleepy Wednesday.
Like, I know Zomzom's not here right now, but you know, you don't have to play dead.
I'll be the new Zomzom.
Okay. Well,
yeah, so our zombie friend is caught in a lightning storm and has gotten lost. He will make his way home soon. He always does. But at the moment he's safe. Don't worry. And that's why I have taken over. So let's begin with this.
I promise.
Let's begin with this top left.
All right, top left one. Pretty simple. System hacker Baxter. No questions or comments.
I'm wondering if this is like their furs had been like burned off, or if they got something like creeping over them. I'm guessing it's like the fur has been like stripped off. It mostly looks like that around the top. I can't draw because this is the first layer.
Okay, I'll move that to the bottom.
This part, yeah. But then this part made me think that it was sort of like a creepy creep thing that's sort of growing over the body. But I can see it now. I can see how it's sort of burning off. The reason why I thought that up here that the fur is being burned off is because the strokes are going downwards. So that's giving me an impression that if some kind of nasty, yucky acid went on their back, it would drip down like this, hence creating this pattern. But over here, if we splooshed some acid onto this poor pony, it would drip down like this and run down the back of the leg, not sort of like over into the side, depending on how they're sitting, or standing or whatever. Some splashes might sort of go like this, but it's not going to be a consistent thing. And if you wanted to create that sort of burning effect, I think it would sort of spread outwards in a radius up until a certain extent, creating this sort of effect and going down the leg as it sort of went down. That's just my impression anyway. That's how I sort of envision it, and it might make it a little bit more clear.
I'm just messing with these front hooves. You could maybe try moving one of them forwards or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and just be careful with the back hoof here. Like, you have this little bump out. bring it down just a little bit more, because you notice how the leg curves here and it curves down here. Usually there's a nice little hawk. There's a nice little breathy spot for the hawk to come over. Mhm. So just a matter of pulling that down instead of having the kind of straight from the butt to the hawk. There's a
Yeah.
little bit of a thigh before the hawk comes out.
Nope. Did that do anything? It didn't. Oh.
Oh,
No, I have messed up this. Okay.
well,
I also told this to be at like really low opacity. What is happening? Oh, that's the tool opacity. I'm sorry. I messed that up. I was like trying to fill a low opacity layer. Instead, I turned the tool opacity really far down. There we go. Let's make it a bit easier for us to see our drawovers. Yeah. Switch the tool colors. Aggie weirdly just does not like my tablet. I don't know why. It's strange. White. Now it's just switching the colors of my toolbox. The stream can't even see this because I cropped it so that we could only see the canvas. But if they did, they would see that it's being weird. Anyway.
as you can see, there's a few different ways you can do the muzzle type. I think the main lesson here is just be careful. The face got a little squished, right? The muzzle kind of protruded out way far from the circle. And just to be conscious of that, even if you want to do a more horse-shaped head, you just got to be conscious of where it's coming out from the circle. Like I'm just doodling a little
Yeah.
thing here. Even if you want like one of the longer style muzzles, make sure that like the eyes kind of sunk down into the area where
Yep.
the muzzle is. But you can doop doop. Happy little horse. Or
Yes,
indecisive
yes.
horse.
It tends to be the case, like for a lot of pony stuff, the muzzle and the ears are like some of the most changeable, mixy abouty things. So just feel free to mess about with like different muzzle shapes and different ear shapes and all that kind of stuff, because it's one of the things that's really fun to play around with when you come to pony art.
I love this precious
Mhm.
horse you're drawing on the top.
It
Looks super cute.
needs some hay.
Hey.
Ta-da.
Hey.
I wish Aggie scrolled the lightness of the layer for everyone in real time as I was scrubbing it, and not like only when I let go.
Mm.
But oh well.
I
So
think I'm just doodling horses now.
all I was doing was going over the face, which is pretty much what Ellie was saying. But who was doing the legs and body?
I was doing the front ones, and then this section right here, where like the belly kind of like connects to the thigh. It's a really interesting kind of spot to look at from the side. I tend to do something that just like comes up here and then gets cut off by the thigh coming back in, like erasing back over in this kind of like shape sort of thing. But you can take that however. And I also just push the tail shape a little bit more. You can have some fun. You can like it's really fun to sort of just like mess about with drawing from the elbow and from the shoulder and stuff. So like instead of like the small like wrist lines, you just like work to sort of make up these longer ones instead. And then you can like create big, long, flowy segments, and then make the tail out of those, and looks pretty cool.
Yes.
Hmm.
But that's fine. That's this kind of stuff is just like refining little bits of shape, so don't stress about it too much.
Well then, I think we are free to move on. Really great work. I saw you were posting to the subreddit a lot, which is awesome. I also encourage you to critique other people's art. There's a little video at the top of our subreddit. Helps anyone learn how to critique. Anyone can do it at any skill level. Highly recommend it. But good art, keep arting is good.
Yeah, good art. Good art
Yeah.
is good.
Shall we move on to the next picture?
Yeah, let's do it.
I'm just being
I'll
silly
find
on
it.
this stream.
I saw it was so cute.
Come on, let me. Oh, this one. There we go. Doop, doop,
Alrighty.
doop. So off to the right for this. Oh, let me just turn down the fade layer. Boop. What an atmospheric picture. This looks so cool.
This is
Excellent.
by Drawing Lightning, and they say art
Well-
request. Can I get some criticism of this artwork?
You do draw what you say in the tin.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll be
It's very
happy to.
atmospheric. Super
Keep,
swooshy. I love the swoosh of the tail.
Yeah, I was just looking at that. It's
So
like the
fun.
way it bends and curves is so good.
Good. I love it.
I don't know. A lot of anything with this is
probably-
just nitpicky because it's so good.
I'd probably say just keep an eye on the sort of size of the head. I feel like it's maybe you could maybe make the head a tiny bit smaller, but that's just personal sort of
Hmm.
opinion.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's just that the eye is sort of so big. When the head is on the side, the eye would tend to be sort of more like this kind of a shape because they're looking like their head is looking that way, so we're seeing the eye from the side, kind of sort of thing.
Horses are weird, right? Because they're not quite predators, but cartoon ponies have front-facing eyes. It's a balance, right? Like the most I think important thing is to just be careful of how close you are to the ear. Like if your ear starts here, if you think of a head shape, the eye over here is just way too close to where the ear is.
Yeah, I think that's it for
Yeah.
me. I think you could also just shorten the muzzle a little bit, but that's just me as well. That's just personal style and stuff and all that.
Yeah.
When you come down to let me erase everything. My eraser is no opacity, so I need to do that. In this area here, it can be really good to break up the outline a little bit and do something like this, and then have like a little bit of like a bump or something like that,
Yeah.
just to show that there is sort of a physical sort of something going on there. It basically makes your thing look a little bit more real. It's like if you look at some anime stuff, they'll do this thing where it's like you have the nose, and then it comes down, and then they'll just like draw the mouth over here, and it's like, well, it's not really like physically showing off how things are. So then you just do kind of just like physically showing off the shape of things a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
I think when it comes to this stuff here, it feels interesting. Normally, I'd kind of expect it to sort of to flow down from the neck, but that's interesting.
You know, and this is a nitpick, right? Um, for a piece like this, you're very dark, very atmospheric, but you have this lightning strike, this powerful thing of light shooting through the scene that's happening in this moment. I love the light you have going on here, but because the light is so bright, you're gonna want more contrasting shadows. You have a nice subtle dark shift going towards the front of the body, but some areas I think you could even push to be darker. Like light is not gonna touch this area. Like on the side of the body here, there is no light touching that part of the body because of the way the lightning's gonna crash. There's some parts that can be practically hidden in darkness and you don't need to have the detail for it just because of how extreme lightning is as a light source and how dark your environment is. So just thinking of pushing those contrasts could really help push the atmosphere in your piece. So like think less subtle shadows and more intentional, strong, hard shadows.
Yeah.
It just makes your piece more interesting as well.
Mhm.
Like very, very intentionally sort of pushing attention towards where you want it to go and all that kind of stuff. The cool thing is, like, look at this. Please let me choose the right layer. This area up here. You've got this black hair, and then you've got this like night sort of stuff.
Yeah.
The cool thing is, what you can do is you can let me choose the right brush. You can have both of those kind of fade together. What that does is that actually makes your piece more interesting because it's sometimes rendering things out less completely or like making it less obvious sort of what is what and just like letting things fade into each other can like give you this really interesting sort of ephemeral sort of feeling.
I remember you
like,
talking about this before. I've never really like understood it myself, but
yeah,
because I spend all my time trying to make sure everything stands out a lot. And I was going to say, like with the character, I would have like the clouds lighter behind the head to sort of draw out the shapes you're trying to do more. But I guess it's a matter between like the sort of drawing that I do with lines and everything, and the sort of like painterly stuff. But
Yeah.
that's not what I was doing.
Oh, Jesus.
Aggie is being silly. There we go.
It's
The grayscales, you can
definitely
you can see how everything blends, how all the values blend a lot more easily.
Mm. Yeah, comes definitely from like more painterly sort of things where it's like blending shapes where they're not as important can be useful to you.
Yeah.
It's like using human brains to the advantage of the artist where if you draw everything in exact detail but you do it wrong, humans are so good at picking it out. Like the uncanny valley stuff,
Yeah.
we see that, we absorb it. But if you leave things up to interpretation, the brain can like piece together this picture and make it more interesting, and like you lose some of the the aspects, some of the details, and that's okay because like when we're looking at stuff, we don't see every sharp line. Not everything is defined. Things get fuzzy and blurry. Like think about drawing a background, right? You have trees in the background. When you look outside your window and you see trees at a distance, do you see every single leaf? No, but your brain still interprets that there's a bunch of leaves out there.
Same with like hair.
Yeah. And that's the whole idea of like letting things getting blurred together and get lost. That's the same idea except on a bigger scale.
So, because this area down here is so bright, all the dark areas are just going to, all fade together. Your eye isn't physically going to be able to see this area that's so bright and so blown out, and also those dark areas in the level of detail.
Mm.
There was also this quote that was really interesting from one of the artists that I was like studying from, and they were like, emotion lives in these areas that aren't quite as defined sometimes for like more painterly styles. So you can take that however you want to.
But it's up to you to take the art in the direction you want. If you want to have everything sort of blended together and soft, you can. If you want to use sort of like halo effects to bring the character more visible in contrast to the background, then you can. It's just up to you to explore with what you think works the best for what you want.
Yeah. These are all suggestions and stuff because the rendering in general is pretty good. You know, the way that you've drawn the pony in general, pretty
Mhm.
good. You know, a lot of this is just
Nitpicking.
things that we think
And
might be able
suggestions.
to help. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Really good horse. I love
Yeah.
it.
Oh, good. Shall we move on to
Submit
the
more
next?
to us in the future and critique.
Yeah,
Oh, yes.
critique others, and then maybe you'll get critique too.
Yeah, to be honest, critiquing others at this point is probably going to help you more than anything because
Yeah.
Oh,
being able to see the issues in
And it'll
other people's
expose
art
you to
and
different artist styles and like opinions and techniques as well, and how to interpret those
Yeah.
techniques.
Hmm.
So, moving on to our right.
we're
Look at
sticking
this
with the weather
cute-
theme.
Yeah. Look at this adorable marshmallow. Needs a
All
hug.
right. This adorable marshmallows by Not Really Art Creator. I'd say you are really an art creator. You made this cute little marshmallow. But they have to say, I drew my OC Windcatcher, and that's it. First of all,
Brilliant.
super cute OC. My first critique, ask a question. If you're posting to this channel, one of the best things you can do is, if there's something you need help with, something you're struggling with, ask questions, because critique is a conversation. And while sometimes general critique's not a terrible thing to ask for, it's also really great to have direct questions like, oh, I drew my OC Windcatcher, but I had trouble with the wings, or I didn't know how to do the goggles, or, eyes were a struggle for me. Any kind of thing to help lead that conversation, super, super great, especially for us.
Yeah, because we need to basically try to guess what you're going for. What sorts of issues you see with this and the direction you want to take your art in and all that sort of stuff. The more sort of background you can give us and just general questions, the better the critique will be for you because it'll be more suited to you and what you want out of your art. You've got this very very show-like. Oops, dropped my pen. This very sort of show-like feeling around the head and the muzzle and all that sort of stuff. The face is definitely more side-on, and these goggles are very three-quarters viewy sort of stuff. It's probably good to unless you're specifically going for this kind of tilted goggle kind of look, it's probably good to sort of make sure that both of those are sort of in the same, whether it's directly side on or three-quarter view.
Because the body is three-quarters as well, but the face is very, like you said, it's very specifically side on. So if what you wanted to do was to have the face be like three-quarters as well, then you can definitely do that. It's up to you. It just sort of looked like you were trying to do it side on deliberately. If not, that's absolutely fine. But, I was going to do something. My friend has it handled. Ah, no, I wanted the pen. Okay.
Oh no!
I'm great at this today. You know what keeps confusing me? I clicked on the colors to switch the colors, and what it's done is it moved the back color on top, like the squares, but it didn't actually switch the colors. So it's the one that's behind is switching now. So yeah. This is a lovely
I'm doing a
little
bit of assuming
side-
here that this is a filly, a very young character. So what I did was just kind of squish the body a little bit together, squish it a little more. It's a little too far apart, but otherwise I'd say it's pretty good for the proportions for a filly. You got the height right with the body, the neck size, and all of that. I would just be careful about how long you make that body. Just squish it in. You can if you any time you need help with body stuff, usually for fillies, like 2 overlapping decent sized circles will get you the length you need for a filly. You can of course take artistic liberties in any way you want to pursue, but just to help with cutting out the super long bodies on something you want a little more petite and small, like a baby pony.
Mhm.
I'm always a big fan of sort of getting the body shape you want, and then just cutting here and just boom,
Cut off the booty.
cut off the booty. Yeah, it just helps me do what I prefer. But yeah, you can see the actually let me drag that eye over a little bit closer. But you can see kind of just a showing a little bit more of that far eye. Very very short, So this one is like wide because we're like seeing a lot more directly, and this one's like pretty short because the eye is like physically sort of facing this direction away from the camera. So just something like that. Pretty, small, but like it now matches the goggles a little bit more. But don't stress too much. It's fine. It's all good.
This is a super cute art. Like, I just do want to state, I love the colors you chose. I think the OC looks super cute. I love the size of the hooves you had. They're just nice marshmallowy hooves. But yeah.
The color palette is just very pleasing in general. I mean, I would, like if I was doing this, I probably would have made the main colors and the cutie mark colors like a much more sort of like brighter pastel. But I kind of like that it's a bit muted. It's very interesting.
That's good. If you look at
I was gonna say it sort of reminds me of like a sort of like rainy day a little bit. Like rained on colors.
Well, good thing there are cutie marks in rain cloud.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you look at these hooves, you'll notice that they like come together at this point. Now, what that's doing, why that's going on, is because it just makes it more visually interesting. Like you see with the original, you have these two hooves sort of both going out in this sort of way, and there's not quite so much sort of visual interest there. It's both hooves are kind of in a similar sort of position, in a similar pose, all that kind of stuff. Whereas if you just pull them together, it's fairly simple to do in terms of posing, but it does sort of make it look more interesting when people look at it. And
I love doing it myself.
And you can do something similar with these back hooves in terms of just changing the pose up. So like both of these hooves at the moment are both doing this sort of thing. If you look at the this sort of outline or this front outline, both of them are like fairly similar. So you can just mess around and maybe pull one forward a little bit or
I realized I inadvertently made it look like I'd drawn a whole pony, but with like a very, very short body, so I'm going to fix it so it doesn't look weird.
Maybe even like have the back hoof sort of pushed up like this or something like that. I don't know. You can mess around with it, but it's good to try to like experiment a bit and make the hooves a little bit different from each other. It's good.
Fluffy, you stole my layer.
Oh wait, what did I? Oh, I'm sorry. I was clicking to try and get off of the selection. Hold on. It's layer 5, right?
I can make a new one. A new one.
Oh, why did I right-clicking bring up a thing? Hold on. Assign layer to Aliclaw. Cool. That's convenient. I didn't even have to abandon it.
I just saw a pop-up. I'm like, oh no.
I'm sorry. I just decided to make this head and legs into the same pony somehow.
I'm naming my layers so they don't get stolen by the ruffians in control.
It's Aggie. It's confusing me. Okay. I accidentally made these proportions very like Philly occult. Like it's very they're very like stubby. I didn't mean to do that. I was just trying to combine my two different sketches into one sketch. There we go.
I think it's fitting for the character.
Yeah.
For the proportions we see. But yeah, super good horse. I think just keep on drawing.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Good.
And feel free to submit more critique on our subreddit, or you can join our Discord and find people or places to critique or get critique in there, or just to show your art. Yeah. Have fun drawing.
Yeah.
Hope to see more of this cutie in the future. So, where to next? We're going all the way down here to the left. Like a typewriter, down to way 2.
I did a boo-boo. The pony that's red, black, and white is also drawn by Drawing Lightning, who did the...
Oh, I see.
Piece.
So you do stellar, like painterly, and awesome like cartoonist stuff. Well, aren't you just fantastic? With your tail swooshes.
The Pinkie Pie, then.
Okie dokie.
Good horse.
Fnap. It's like a spooky game, but where you just really sleep a lot.
FNAF. Oh my god. Oh, I love it. Okay. So this is by Wolfie Reddit, and they say Pinky Fazpo, non-animatronic. No questions. Hello?
Yep, just watching
Okay.
the drawing happening. And also try and move my. So I got the Aggie and the OBS to move.
I'm just chilling. I'm just sketching things. I like having
Someone.
when it's like front facing. I like having like this top line of the muzzle be like fairly short between the things.
If I hide,
I
I'm
was
gonna
just reading through
hide
the
sight
Reddit
for a
comments
second.
here. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. And
Yeah.
someone did comment on the eyes looking weird because there's no outline on the white parts. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think the white parts can exist without line art. Um,
Yeah.
but the Wolfie
I'm
Reddit
parts
did
of
say
the
they can't do eyes worth a dime, so maybe we can focus on like eye
parts
technique.
of the MLP, the main pony eyes like have the eye whites. They just have like outline over a certain part of them. So I definitely think it's not wrong.
Mhm, mhm.
It's mostly when it comes to like that. It's mostly like creating a stark difference between the white of the eyes and like the color of the pony. And so you need to kind of work to do that, especially when you've got this sort of grey color and the eye's color is, around here is fairly grey, and it's a fairly similar sort of like a value to this stuff. Like if you could Zai turn on that like saturation thing to like turn
Oh,
everything grayscale.
yeah. There we go.
Yeah, like let me like if you just look around, like trace these eyes around, in some places it's like a little bit hard to sort of differentiate between them. They're not quite as sort of starkly different uh, as they would be if there was like a black outline around them. So making the greys of the whites of the eyes a little bit lighter, or the sort of this pink color down here a little bit darker, or something like that might help. I don't know. It's just something to think about, to be honest.
Mhm, mhm.
I'm just playing with sort of poses over here.
And I think something good to keep in mind with eyes is that despite them being in shadow, just like the rest of the picture, they shade differently than the fur would. They're a whole lot more shiny, therefore they'll reflect a lot more light. Fur does reflect light, it has a bit of a shine to it, but not as great as something as like liquidy as an eye is. I know that's weird to say, but you could probably end up keeping the eye whites a little more whiter than you would in the darker areas because of that, because we have this nice light coming from below. Those eyes will pick up that white color and you'll have that nice contrast going in from the bottom, coming in from the bottom. So even if it's in a more shaded area, the eyes will have some of that picked up light.
And the cool thing is, these highlight things here, they'll be fair. They'll usually be fairly bright, even if the actual thing is fairly dark. So you
Mhm.
can let's do this. And think of the eye sort of like a ball. You've got like the like a sphere kind of like a thing all around and all that sort of stuff, and it's just like a ball. These highlight areas, basically they're going to be positioned towards wherever the light source is. So the light is coming from like down here. It's probably going to, and we're looking at it, and it's probably going to end up highlighting around about there, because it's the light is coming from over here, bouncing, and then from there it sort of bounces towards the camera, the where we're actually like viewing this picture from. So let me get back to here. Let me do something kind of sort of like this, ish, sort of like thing, kind of sort of. And everyone up here as well. Yeah, and it's unusual to have like eye highlights in that sort of direction, and that might add to sort of the creepiness sort of thing you're going for. I don't know, maybe not.
I'm trying to figure out the
Yeah, I mean, I agree.
Eyes are weird. Eyes are strange.
Yeah.
It's always fun to mess around with them. If you do want to do more of this like stuff in the future with the eyes in these sorts of like directions. Oh, I accidentally reloaded Aggie. But something to keep in mind is that eyes convey very different emotions based on like how much of them touches the outside. So, for example, let me do up a little. Okay, cool, that works. So, the example eye, right here, boom, and boom, boom, boom. The top, these things, whatever they're called. If none of the eye pupil or iris or anything like that touches the outside, sometimes it can like look a little bit more extreme and just like push the emotion a little bit more towards that sort of deranged kind of like a look sort of thing.
If that's what you're going for, then I would definitely agree.
Yeah, whereas if, you know, a lot of the eye is sort of touching the sides of the eye, then that's like a lot more I don't know, sedate, kind of like, sort of like a thing a little bit.
It's relaxed. Sort of. It's not. There's a lot of sort of like extremity to having the sort of irises like focused and like blank in the middle because it gives a more alarmed sort of look. So with the half-lidded eyes, that also increases the like calm effect. Like you're relaxed, you're at ease, you're at peace. There's nothing to worry about. Which maybe that's what you're going for. Maybe she's trying to give. She's not like trying to be like. She's being more like Pixie said, sedate. But there are ways that you can sort of play with expressions to be a bit more. To give more emotion, even if it's not like a creepy or fanatic emotion, it can also be a calmer emotion, which is sort of what I'm doing up here, which you can see these eyes, if just without the rest of the face, just the eyes alone, have a bit more of a sort of like creepy, almost judgmental sort of like the way they're narrowed and twisted up, but sort of like looking down on you. That's why I was sort of drawing the pony like twisted up, pointing her face upward, because if you've got the underlining, you might as well play with it, you know. And you can have some lovely little fun playing with expressions. There's some red dots to make it look more creepy.
Yeah, the expressions are always exciting and fun.
Yeah,
they're super cool to play with. Yeah,
and
in general with sort of
glowy.
Yeah, in general with like the sort of face shape and all that sort of stuff. Just yeah, you can look at references and sort of just do more sketching and all that sort of stuff.
I just kind of made up those eyes I just threw the lines down. You all saw it. It was just like I didn't. Sometimes you just play with expressions and just throw them out and see if it works, because you might come up with something you weren't even expecting, and if it doesn't work, you can just do it again. But emotions are my favorite thing in art. I see so many people being like, "Oh, I'm so scared to tackle expressions. I don't know how to draw like eyes." It's so fun. It's like I get that it's daunting. It's like, oh, how do I draw these different emotions? But if you stop thinking about it, like, how do I draw concerned expression? Let me look up a reference to this expression and try to draw like the lines, how they look on this thing. Like, yes, that is definitely where you're going to start, and definitely recommend doing that. But once you get used to enough that you stop thinking about it, like, how am I drawing the lines, and start thinking of it like, how is this character's face moving to represent the emotions that they are expressing, then that's when expressions become like very, very fun to play with, because there's no chart big enough to map every kind of expression, because every like expression you can possibly give is basically like the color wheel. There's just like a limitless amount of different expressions, as much as there are a limitless amount of different emotions and combinations of emotions. Like, it's all just different stimuli and just things shooting through the brain and different reactions to stuff and different ways of expressing yourself and interacting with other people. So just thinking about like getting into the character's head and thinking about their perspective and what they're doing, and then just going nuts with just experimenting with how you think the face should like twist and move and stretch is like the most fun part, and you can have so much fun creating different characters and scenes that way. So I definitely recommend playing with, start with your expression sheets and getting used to the basic ones, and then just think about what they mean, think about how to characterize things. It's good.
Yeah. And you can always jump into all that stuff later and just, draw some cute paint. Who cares?
Yes.
You've drawn you've drawn a pony here. You've succeeded.
Hell yeah.
You're done. That's the important thing. Boom.
Hell
yeah.
yeah.
You got some examples of like expressions and eyes and all that stuff around here. So yeah, just keep on drawing. Keep on looking at stuff that other people have done and trying to copy their shapes and all that.
Yeah, you can do it.
Yeah,
we believe in you. So, are we moving on?
Yeah.
I think we can.
Cool. In that case, I'm gonna go over to the right.
We have another pony. Oh my god.
What? So many ponies today. It's unusual. That's what it is.
So
I have one more as well, actually. I need to put on.
Secret pony. So this pony is by Jennifer Kitty Gotcha. They say, I recently thought to myself, what would Twilight look like if she was a goth pony instead of a studious pony in her younger years? So I tried drawing her. One's picture is with lighting, so we have the one with lighting. There's one without. And they also said, she doesn't look like Twilight at all, crying sad face.
Oh.
So I think there were some nice comments on the post itself, but I think if you want to make her more like Twilight, I would just make sure to have her, like, her hair features. Like,
yeah,
I think keeping her hair color, the pink and the purple, wouldn't not make her goth. I think the nice change in hairstyle is cool, but adding those colors we know so well.
Yeah.
With Twilight.
The colors, and also just so what I've learned about character design is that you create like a recognizable silhouette, and you create a recognizable like set of shapes, like landmarks of the design that you can recognize. So like what you're doing is obviously going to create a different silhouette. You're trying to give her a completely different like appearance, a different like alternate universe thing, and that's absolutely fine. Keeping the colors is definitely a huge indicator that this is the pony we're knowing. Even if there's like more colors thrown in, perhaps a few like extra strands. You think of like with that episode where we get like the beautiful punk rarity. Like she's still got like aspects of her that's recognizable, even though there's like more stuff thrown in, more bits of colors, and what we do recognize is used in a different way. But you can throw elements of what we recognize from this character in, like the sort of like the flat heads of the strands. I think is probably one of the biggest things. I can't draw for some reason. Oh, okay. So like you got like the sort of like broken up like strands. You can use that still in a way, and just like use it in a different way to make it look like Twilight. So that to me I think is one of the most important parts, and I sort of had to learn this when I was doing a commission for Blissey, not Blissey. I was doing a commission for someone who does, no, it was Blissey. Yeah, they used to be a moderator of WBroy, and they wanted me to do a Kieran form of Sonambula, which is a pretty cool idea, and I couldn't see anyone who had done it before. I was like, this is amazing. So I drew Kieran Sonambula, but it wasn't easy because I was like, how do I make it look like this pony that we recognize? And I was like, oh, so I guess if you break down like what makes this character look like this character on like sketch 15, I was like realizing this, and like, oh, so like these shapes here in the main are like recognizable. So if I take those shapes and I put them elsewhere and I reuse them and I find a different way of using them, then I can make it look like the character. So I think that's important to use here. I even used it in like I did a redesign of Tempest, but like with more like Twilight colored armor. Like it's her like sort of good guy armor now, but I changed her mane slightly so it still has like that sort of like mohawk flip, but instead it's sort of like flicked in a different direction and uses like a lot of the shapes of Twilight's mane in there as like a subtle sort of thing of her reformed design. So it can be, it doesn't have to be a limitation. It can be a very fun thing that you can get to be creative with, but it can allow you to facilitate the design of this character in a different form whilst allowing it to be recognizable still. I super love what's being drawn here.
Yeah, Pixie's doing such a good job.
Yeah, so good. You can even throw in some bits of like yellow. I super love that. I think having those like splashes of color, just like little bits, can amp it up. I think.
Oh, I've been muted. I was wondering.
Oh.
I was wondering why nothing I was saying was coming
I'm
through.
sorry.
So no, it's all good. So what I've been doing here is looking at Twilight's usual hairstyle. So if I was in the right layer, it would help. I don't want to be in the color burn layer anymore. You've got like I don't know what the hell is going on there, but what?
Whoa.
What?
It's
Oh, I've got the color burn stuff from something else. Don't worry. Don't mind me. So you've got Twilight's normal hair, which I need space up here. Yeah, you got Twilight's normal hair shape, which is like this kind of thing. The horn here, boom, boom, with the red and the purple sort of streaks. And I basically just like took that and then kind of just pulled it. So I have this like little hook here, same little hook. And then I just like, instead of having like this very sharp defined shape, this very strong shape, I kind of have something similar, but it like pops back into like this point. Goes up something like that. And that little hook. And then, I just sort of erase the cheek kind of a thing. And yeah, end up with this kind of a thing, which looks interesting. It's kind of like a middle ground between the her normal hairstyle and more like a flopped downy kind of like a pose. Oh my god, whoever's doing that, I love it.
I don't really know what I'm doing. I am just experimenting like
Yeah.
a bun. Like what if Twilight's tail was in a
weird.
bun?
But keep in mind for Twilight's hair, the main section of it is all dark blue.
Yeah.
Is all dark blue, and then you've got the streak of the like reddish
Purple and
sort of
magenta.
thing, and then the
Yeah, I do see a lot of like Twilight's mane being drawn like purple, but it is dark blue.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, but like once you see it, it's like, oh my god.
It's totally true. Like this. Oh yeah, that's good. I don't know if this is not really like a punky hairstyle. I was just like Twilight's tail in a bun. That's a cute idea. Like she doesn't want to cut it, but she wants it like out of the way.
Twilight.
There's some things with like you can see that someone's made their neck a bit bigger and all that sort of stuff, with just like general proportion around and keeping things like in proportion with each other. All that will come with just like sketching more and getting some more red lines and all that sort of stuff. So don't stress too much about it. But yeah, it can be good to sort of make the neck and some other things a bit bigger. You see in a lot of these like more punky, more gothy sort of redesigns where you almost have like the Tim Burton-y sort of really thin bodies and all that kind of stuff, and that can be awesome. That can be great once you kind of have a decent handle on the regular sort of proportions of everything. So it might be good to sort of stick with these more like normal kind of proportions, and then later on you can mess about and try like all of the weird, fun, experimental, strange stuff. Or you can ignore me and mess about with the experimental stuff now. Who cares? It's whatever keeps you motivated. It's all good.
Whatever's fun.
Yeah.
And all of that is why it's really good to put in questions, because questions and like comments and where you want to take your art and stuff, knowing that can like give us more tailored feedback.
And it helps you to figure out like, okay, what exactly am I trying to improve on?
Exactly. Where do I want to take art stuff? So this is really good. really creative and all that stuff. I love it.
I love seeing people redesign canon characters. I don't care how weird it gets or whatever. I just love seeing people be creative with that.
It's
So
always good.
awesome stuff. Shall we move over to the Luna?
Let's do it. Let's move on. Like
Heck
a
yeah.
typewriter, down to the
Good picture.
left.
Good picture, good picture. Ah,
Yeah.
Good, super good.
I love it.
So who made this one?
This one is by Flame the Kitsune. And they
Ooh.
say, Drew Luna on the moon, crying sad face emoji.
I know.
Lots of tears in our titles this week.
I made her sad.
I love the like transparency of the mane that you've got.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, like her mane's like sparkly and starry anyway, but like so is the background. So, like you could like it is a creative approach. There's lots of different ways you could do it. You can even try like maybe blurring the stars. I can also see that like it's not fully transparent because the planet doesn't like come into it. So it's really just like the same. It's just like her mane is starry, as so is the background. So like, if you wanted to differentiate a little bit more, you could like make the stars like a little bit bigger and sort of more spread apart, but more deliberate, so we can see and sort of and stay away from the like the edge maybe. Like leave this sort of like purpley and translucent, but and maybe like blur the stars if you want to keep it transparent, so that they're not super obvious, and just make the ones in here like a little bit more of their own thing, so that way you can see that it's different. And I always like it when people put in like little constellations.
Mm-hmm. Oh, those are cute.
Yeah, or whatever you want to do. It's fun to be creative with it, but just it at the moment it does look translucent. The whole mane looks like it's completely like transparent until you realize that the planet's not going through it. Because the blue just has the same starry effect.
Yeah. Something I might recommend to really help sell the transparency of this mane is to do thinner lines. When something is light or, transparent, usually the lines won't be thick. Thick usually tells a story of something that's solid, hard, or just like unmoving. Thin lines, super flowy, super light, even transparent, like see-through, that can really benefit the idea of Luna's transparent mane. And you'll also get that contrast from the planet. Like if you have a thin line going past the planet line there, and you have that big thick planet line, it might sell the idea a bit more that it's like, oh, this mane is light, fluffy, transparent, but like it's different from the moon. It's the different thickness from the moon, different thickness from the body, and it just that light flowiness.
Yeah. You can even give it like a bit of a coloured outline too. No, not see these.
And I know you can do thin lines because these wonderful little texture lines on the moon, like that thin, you could just do the outline of the mane with, and it'll be beautiful.
With the back legs, you've got the sort of belly thing here, belly, all that. This area here, you can really kick that out a lot. So keep in mind, this hock, somewhere like down here is going to be like the main point where it like comes to here, the main point where it thins out here. So you can like mess about a bit and do something like, and you end up with this like kind of weird, interesting sort of leg shape sort of thing if you like try to do something like that. I don't know, mess about with it a bit, mess about, play stuff, but like definitely have a sort of line going that sort of direction for the front of this hoof, or for the front of these back hooves where they meet the body.
I just did one section a bit sort of like lighter in colour to show the difference.
Cool wings, I like them.
I would just scooch the ear up just a little bit. Your ear is connecting where the neck is, and that's just a little too low. You want them really sitting up nice on the head there.
I'd say with the closer and the further away wings, you probably want to do something to sort of differentiate them, because when I was looking at this originally, my mind was like, oh, this whole area is one big wing, and then I had to be like, oh, wait a minute, no, that's the neck and all that sort of stuff behind there. So what you can do, pretty simple, just have like a layer behind, either a multiply layer or a color burn layer or whatever, and this layer just like takes whatever color I chuck into it, chuck in a deep blue into it, and then I'll just like fade out that back wing a little bit. And now there, let me erase my lines for a second. Even without that, they're definitely like differentiated a lot more. It's easy to sort of see that they are different. What else? Horses.
Horse.
Horse. Horse, of course.
Luna,
I
on the
always like,
moon.
yeah, I always like with the muzzle having a little bit of like this 3D shape coming through. So if you do something like this, you have this like this side. If you view like the muzzle sort of like a box, kind of like a thing, but you just have it like trace a couple more of these like little lines around.
Sometimes you
It's
can
really
add
subtle
like
and weird.
you can add the bridge because it kind of like meets the other eye. Helps push the 3D
Exactly.
nature.
Muzzles and stuff are fun and weird and strange and annoying and confusing, but it's fun.
Yeah.
I've always found with muzzles, it's like, it's, for me at least, it's always been the case of like picking up little tips and tricks along the way, and that's the only way that I learn with muzzles. Messing about and finding what works.
Yeah, like a great thing to do is to like look at some of your favorite artists, put a bunch of their pictures on a blank canvas, and kind of draw all over those muzzles, break them down, see how they, make the muzzle, what kind of shapes they use. And then you take what you learn there and it kind of all smooshes together into like different fun ways to try muzzles.
Exactly. With these little shackles and stuff as well, if you'll notice with this this front hoof, I pulled the base out a little bit so it's like wider, and I did that because if the actual base of the hoof is wider, these shackles would not be able to sort of slide down around it. I know that these are all probably magic, so it probably doesn't matter too much, but thinking about physically kind of locking them in as well by like changing the shape of the hoof and stuff is interesting. And this like horn ring kind of thing here, magical horn suppressor, having that like down near the base, so we don't actually need to see how it connects to like the actual horn sort of thing, but if you can have it like fade off behind the hair, then we'll just imagine, hey, it's locked in somehow magically. I don't know, a little bit more than if it's just like hanging loose sort of around somewhere, like around the top of the horn kind of thing. That's nitpicky. That's fun. It's all good. No stress. Good horse.
Either way, I think you did
Good
a
Luna.
good job. Yeah.
Very good job.
Let's go to our next one if we're done with this.
Tofu. Did they have any questions, Pixie?
Still a work in progress, but the major problem here is the hand and the featherish effect I'd like to have on the neck. So I think they feel like they're having trouble sort of conveying that there's feathers on the neck, and they think the hand is not really up to snuff.
I definitely think the feathery effect, like it's a good. I like the idea of, if I just mess with the colors, having that sort of like, lots of like little strokes, just sort of like faded a little bit.
Yeah, look at this. Look at that.
You can sort of fade it in, so it's just around like the highlighted parts. Yeah. It sort of blends a bit.
I think one of the things to keep in mind, like fur versus feathers, I feel like feathers tend to be way more defined because fluff is just kind of all coming from the same place, like as little strands, where feathers are like these distinct objects that are coming from the same place. Like they're not just one strand of fur, they're this entire sheet of feather. So to have them be that kind of solid and like more distinct in shape really helps push the idea of feather.
Yeah. Well, what I was doing is sort of like from my perspective of like, with fur, I don't really do like highlights that show the shape of it other than around what I've done with the line arcs. Like I use the line art to show the shape of fluff, but I don't really do lots of like highlighting effects for it or textures. But so doing these like little effects for the feathers sort of shows like, yes, there are like bigger objects here that you can sort of see if you look close enough. And it's the same sort of thing I do with like scales and like sea ponies or snakes and stuff. Do like little scales like popping out because they're bigger things that you can sort of see and define more. So from my point of view, I've done them quite soft and defined, but just even the fact that they're there shows texture. Because I would normally have it quite smooth, but like Ali has a very good point as well. If you like defining things, then showing the feathers being quite well defined and obvious can also be a good approach.
I'm messing about trying to add similar sorts of features down here, but I do want to say, let me pull out my sort of thing. The texture in this area in particular is lovely. It's so good. So that's good. That's also good. I think it's going to be like a lot of like messing about and like trying out different things, looking at references and then trying to sort of find something which lets you sort of combine all this sort of stuff to like make something that works. Because here, with all this, this is where you're getting into like questions about your specific style, and so you can ask people like for help, and they'll chuck all sorts of things at you. Zai is said, hey, this might be cool. This is kind of where it's probably going to be down to you and like experimenting and just trying things out and seeing what works and all that, and maybe looking at references a bit more closely or looking at other artists who do feathers. Even here's the thing: you stick very closely to the other artists in the project, but you might want to mess around and like look at artists sort of outside the project. So
Yes.
even looking at even looking at artists outside of pony stuff. Look at like how traditional artists, tend to draw feathers or tend to sort of represent them in these like slightly more abstract ways than like physically detailing and rendering every single like little strand and stuff. Look at artists outside of pony. Look at other sorts of things. Like pull up a Pure Ref, and then look around the different artists that have drawn feathers or have drawn birds or whatever, and just like chuck a bunch of their work on a Pure Ref canvas, and then like look around at it and stuff. Because if you stick very closely to only the other artists in that project, the other artists who have done these sorts of headshot images, these sorts of stuff, you'll end up with stuff that's fairly close to them, sure, but you might not grow as much as if you venture out a bit on your own.
What is this project, by the way?
Heart
pretty much,
Heroes of the.
yeah,
It's like the Hearts of Iron sorts of like.
ponies
Uh,
but war.
yeah, ponies but war, and a lot of their stuff is like advisor headshots and all that sort of fun stuff.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, looks good.
Yeah. I think you're always showing remarkable improvement. The only thing I had about the hand was like maybe try putting the two claws together. That are sort of held limps. Usually, if you're doing stuff with your hand, you sort of hold your fingers like not clamped together, but like at least sort of let them fall close together, and your other fingers will be doing stuff. And I'm doing the pose that yours is doing right now with my hand, and like the remaining, albeit 3 fingers, are sort of like resting together with the index and thumb stretched. So that's the only thing I would change, but it's up to you if you want to have them sort of like left limp. It does create that sort of like bird-like effect. I was treating them more like fingers on a human hand, because sometimes with anthropomorphic stuff we like to sort of push human perspectives, and they obviously are doing like a human-like pose and expression, so that's why I was pushing the anthropomorphism of it. But it's up to you how much you want to take it.
Something I did over here, really quick, like to really sell the talon feel, but on an anthro body. Something I like to do is combine fingers with really long talons. So like, I have my little fingers here, but then I give this extra little dart at the end, this extra little point to really like, oh, this is like animalistic talons, not just like a regular finger. And it also kind of combines with bird feet. If you look at bird feet, they're like little sausages with points at the end. So they're very close to human, you know, limbs. The other thing I would suggest adding, these little rings here. You usually see them a lot on birds. If you look at a bird's foot, they have little like rings running down their leg and even on their little talons, each of them. And that can really help, like it'll help it'll be to your aid because it'll help quadrant the finger itself, but also kind of sell this like scaly look to them.
And it's a good opportunity to practice contours.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. Yeah.
Secret contours.
Secret contours. Like with the ooh, what is it doing? Like Zai said, hey, having these 2 fingers together can be useful, and you can see it in Ali's picture as well. I know that I've like recommended. I know that you've seen things from Ethan Becker, and one of the things that he said about hands specifically is, have 1 or 2 fingers out and the rest of them like all together, and